Hello everyone, I am Amroze Jeremiah, and today, the 8th of May 2025, I'll be launching my very first podcast titled Eschatology with Jeremy. What is eschatology? Eschatology is made up of two Greek words, eschatos and logos. Eschatos means last or final, logos means study. And so putting these two words together, eschatology in simple biblical terms means the study of events of the last days. Now, in this podcast, we'll be bringing biblical perspectives to events that are unfolding in our world today. We'll be discussing markers that signal the end of man's dominion on earth. We'll be discussing markers that signal the end of human civilization. We all know what has been happening between Israel and Palestine. The war has been on for centuries. See what's happening recently, with between India and Pakistan. These things have spiritual undertones, and anyone who is discerning will know that there is more than meets the eye with these events that are happening. So we'll be discussing events that are unfolding all over the world, but we'll be focused on the nation Israel. Why are we so interested in Israel? We're interested in Israel because the Bible has historic events and prophetic events about the nation Israel. The Bible has recorded events that's happened in Israel in the past, and the Bible has also foretold things that will happen in Israel and in the world in the future. And so we need to be circumspect. We need to um, go back to history match with the Bible, and then we'll know what the future holds for you and I. That is essentially the purpose of this podcast. And let me quickly say this, although we'll be referencing the Bible, this is not a sermon, this is not a church event. This is just philosophizing, I would say, and then unpacking the events that are happening in our world today, and referencing the Bible and going back to what the Bible said about those events. And then we would know where we are headed to. So we are basically history matching. All right, so this podcast is for everyone. Come on board, and I hope you're going to learn a lot from the episodes that I'll be posting every month, hopefully. It is important you understand these things and what the Bible has said. Why are we referencing the Bible? I'm referencing the Bible because there is a lot that the Bible has said that we have seen. They came to practical reality in our world. A man named Nebuchadnezzar had a dream centuries ago, and then he saw a great statue, and then the head of the statue, the Bible told us he had this dream in Daniel chapter 2, and then Prophet Daniel had the same dream, similar, very very similar, in Daniel chapter 7. In the dream King Nebuchadnezzar had, he saw a great statue. The head of the statue was of gold, signifying the Babylonian Empire, and then the chest area is of silver, right? And of course, there are two hands attached to the chest area, so which is the Medes and the Persians. So the Bible told us that after the Babylonian kingdom, the kingdom of Medes and Persians will rule, and these things came to practical reality in our world. So you can see that these things were foretold in the Bible. And then after the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians, we had the kingdom of Greece. So Greece ruled, Greece conquered the kingdom of Medes and the Persians. We had a 25-year-old army general, Alexander the Great. Many of us know the history, many of us know what happened, and then he was attracted by the splendor of the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians. And what happened? He conquered the kingdom, and then he ruled. And before he died, he divided the kingdom of Greece into 4 kingdoms: Syria, Mesopotamia, Turkey, and then Egypt. So we had the fragmented kingdom of Greece. After Alexander the Great ruled through in his kingdom, the kingdom of Greece, the Roman Empire conquered the kingdom of Greece and then they took over. Centuries later, the Club of Rome, in the year 1976, they divided the world into 10 administrative districts, confirming the biblical prophecy recorded in the Bible that kingdom of Rome, being represented by the legs of iron, will be divided into 10 toes, confirming the biblical prophecy. And so the Club of Rome in 1976 divided the world into 10 administrative districts. We are going to discuss that later. But my point is this: what we have in the world today, many of them were foretold in the Bible, and we have them confirmed, in secular history, archaeological records. And if the Bible has said something and we've seen them come to pass, so we can pretty much rely on it. Of course, we can rely on it for the ones that are yet to unfold, for those events that are yet to unfold. So we are now sure that those ones will come to pass, just like the ones the Bible has said came to pass, the historic events. So the prophetic events, we are sure that they are going to come to pass, so we can rely on them. Another prophet, Prophet Ezekiel, he prophesied about, in Ezekiel chapter 36 and 37, he prophesied about the nation Israel. God took him to a valley of dry bones, and then the word of the Lord came to Ezekiel, and he said, "Son of man, what seest thou?" And Ezekiel said he could see a valley of dry bones scattered all over the place, dismembered. The head this way, the legs this way, and there are so many of them. A very, very massive valley of dry bones. And God asked him, "Can these bones live?" And then Ezekiel pushed the question back to God and said, "Oh Lord, thou knowest." And then God commanded him to prophesy, and then he prophesied. And we can refer to the Bible in Ezekiel chapter 37, after he prophesied, and these bones came together, bones to his bone. And then there was a very large army. And then God told him that what he has seen is going to happen in Israel, that Israel will be scattered all over the place, all over the world. And then at some point, they will all come together from east, west, north, and south of this world. They will all come together and become a nation again. This was what God told Ezekiel. And then we know, going back to history again, in 586 BC, Nebuchadnezzar took the Jews into captivity. God has already said that they will go into captivity for 70 years because of their sin, because of their iniquity. And then they went into captivity for 70 years. And so, from 586 BC, Israel, for all intents and purposes, ceased to become a nation. They were scattered all over the world. From 586 BC up until the year 1948, Israel ceased to become a nation. They were scattered all over the world. During the war, we know how in the First World War, 1914 to 1918, and then the Second World War, 1939 to 1945. During the Second World War, we had the Holocaust. Nazi Germany, led by Adolf Hitler, he killed 6 million Jews. So the Jews had suffered so many things, persecution from different empires, from different world rulers, from different kingdoms, from that 586 BC up until 1948. So in the year 1948, 14th of May, that prophecy, that vision that God gave to Ezekiel came into practical reality. It was fulfilled in the year 1948, 14th of May. So the bones that came together in Ezekiel chapter 37, so it was signifying Israel, all the Jews all over the world coming together as a nation. Before that time, they had no common language. In fact, Jesus, in his time, he spoke Aramaic language. He didn't speak Hebrew. So miraculously, according to the divine will of God, Israel became a nation 14th of May 1948, confirming the prophecy, confirming the vision that God gave to Ezekiel. These are some of the examples of things that were recorded in the Bible that came to practical reality in our world. And so there are still more events, this time prophetic events, that the Bible has foretold. and we are sure they will come to practical reality. And so when we see things happening in the world today, that's what this podcast is about. When we see things happening in the world today, we reference the Bible and we say, okay, we'll connect the dots and we'll know that, okay, this and that is happening. This is the fulfillment of this prophecy, and this is where this is leading to. This is how this is going to end. This is where this thing is leading us to. Now, in this podcast, there will be different episodes. So from time to time, I'll be dropping episodes. So I will have 12 major topics in this podcast. 12 major topics. So every month we'll be discussing a particular topic, and it will keep on occurring. So that's the frequency of this episode, of this podcast rather. That's the frequency of this podcast. So on a monthly basis, we'll be discussing a particular topic. So the first topic we'll be discussing, and that will be on the 14th of May, next week, Wednesday. So that will be the day Israel will be celebrating her independence. And I'll be inviting a friend of mine. Her name is Leora. She's a Jew living here in Western Australia. And I'm still trying to connect with, the Jews in this community, because these are the people that we are born in naturally. I'm an Israelite, spiritual Israelite. We are grafted in, but these are the people that we are born there, right? So she's going to share her knowledge of her culture, of Israel. She's going to discuss antisemitism, what is happening in the world today, particularly in Israel. She's going to share her knowledge with us. So she'll be with me on Wednesday next week, 14th of May. So we'll be discussing the first episode. The topic will be Israel and anti-Semitism. We'll be discussing Hamas, Israel versus Palestine. What is going on? Why the war between Israel and Palestine? What has been happening? What's it all about? Where is it headed to? So Leora, the Jew, will be giving us some insights into what has been happening there. And then the second episode, we'll be discussing the image of Nebuchadnezzar. The third episode will be discussing the signs of the end, referencing Matthew chapter 24. The fourth episode will be discussing the temples. The fifth episode will be titled The Battle of Armageddon, and this was prophesied again by Ezekiel the prophet in Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39. The sixth episode will be discussing the mark of the beast, 666. So many of you have heard it's a very, very popular number, and everyone knows is the number of the devil and all that. So we'll be discussing what this number is about. Has it started happening? Are there people that have this number? And then the seventh episode will be discussing the Antichrist and one world order. The Antichrist and one world order. The eighth episode will be discussing the Papacy, that is the Pope. The ninth episode will be discussing the divided Roman Empire and Illuminati. The 10th episode will be discussing biblical timelines and the rapture. The 11th episode will be discussing the Great Tribulation and the Bema seat. And then the 12th episode will be discussing the Great White Throne Judgment and the Millennial Reign as prophesied by Ezekiel in Ezekiel chapter 40, between Ezekiel chapter 40 and Ezekiel chapter 48. Welcome on board. I plead with you to be patient with me. I'm new to this podcasting, so bear with me the mode of my delivery. I'm still learning. So thank you once again, and I hope to see you. I look forward to seeing you next week, 14th of May, when we'll be starting the first episode titled Israel and Anti-Semitism. Please follow me on Instagram, Eschatology with Jerry. Like my YouTube page, my YouTube channel is also titled Eschatology with Jerry. Thank you so much, and see you next week. Bye for now.